The galaxy had begun to whisper the name of humanity. From the Viridian expanse to neighboring star systems, alien fleets and civilizations discussed the humans not as just another species, but as a force unlike any other. Tales spread of the Titan-class warship, the Aegis Dominus, and of Admiral Kara Voss, the calm, brilliant leader who had turned chaos into triumph. But for Kara, the mission was not about fame or power. Humanity had made first contact not with arrogance, but with discipline, patience, and courage. The alien fleet that now accompanied them was a testament to that philosophy. Intelligent, cautious, but willing to adapt and learn. Status report, Kara commanded on the bridge. Lieutenant Chen, already immersed in sensor readings, responded quickly. Fleet reports all systems stable. Alien crews are fully operational and responding to human coordination drills. Scans indicate growing confidence and morale. They are learning faster than expected. Kara allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Good, keep monitoring. Humanity's reputation is growing, but it must remain justified. We cannot inspire awe without reason. The alien leader, tall and luminous as ever, approached the bridge. Admiral, humans, your people, we admire you. You, not just strong, but wise. You saved us, taught us. We owe much to you. Kara inclined her head. We do what is necessary to survive and protect. You've learned quickly. Use this knowledge well. Humanity doesn't lead through fear, we lead through example. A sudden alert interrupted the moment. Sensors picked up a distant signal. A fragmented fleet from another sector, caught in the remnants of rogue AI-controlled drones, debris scattered across an unstable asteroid field. They were calling for aid. Chen looked uneasy. Admiral, they're far away and heavily damaged. We could help, but it's a dangerous route through unstable asteroids. Kara's eyes narrowed, calculating options. We don't leave anyone behind. That is what humans do. Set a course. Prepare both human and alien ships for rescue operations. And alert the fleet, maintain formation. Precision and coordination are essential. Hours later, the Aegis Dominus led the combined human-alien fleet into the asteroid field. The rogue drones had collapsed into unstable energy cores, some threatening to explode. Alien crews hesitated, unsure of how to navigate the chaos. Humans, however, moved with calm certainty, guiding them step by step. Focus on energy fluctuations, Kara instructed. Drones respond to our movements. Approach carefully but maintain control. Cover each other. Timing is everything. Using synchronized maneuvers, humans and aliens work together. Drones were neutralized or redirected, damaged ships were stabilized, and survivors were recovered from the wreckage. The aliens were amazed, not just by the humans' firepower, but by their ability to coordinate, adapt, and save lives without hesitation. After the rescue, the alien leader spoke with reverence. Humans, your people, not only survive, you protect, you inspire. We must follow your ways. Learn, adapt, survive. Kara nodded. Then remember this day, not the technology, not the ship, but the choices we made. Humans fight to protect, to survive, and to teach others to do the same. That is our legacy. News of the event traveled faster than any physical messenger. Across neighboring star systems, alien races discussed the humans with a mixture of awe and cautious respect. Ships that had once ignored the Viridian expanse now paused to observe the Titan-class warship, calculating probabilities and sharing data. Everywhere the same realization grew. Humans were a species capable of both unimaginable power and unmatched wisdom. Weeks later, Kara convened a council aboard the Aegis Dominus with representatives from multiple alien civilizations. Their fleets had gathered to discuss the events in the expanse and to formally acknowledge humans' role in the sector. Admiral Voss, one alien delegate began, its voice steady. Your people have demonstrated skill beyond our calculations. You have shown strength, strategy, and morality. You have changed our perspective of what a species can be. We wish to form an alliance with humanity. Kara listened carefully. We welcome alliances, she replied calmly. But understand this, alliances are not built on fear or obligation. They are built on mutual respect, discipline, and trust. Humans do not seek domination. We seek cooperation, protection, and the ability to survive together. The alien leaders exchanged glances, then nodded. They understood. They had witnessed humans in action. calm under pressure, brilliant in strategy, and protective in execution. They could not ignore the fact that humans had saved lives, neutralized threats, and taught entire fleets in mere weeks. In the following months, the alliance began to solidify. Humans shared knowledge selectively, teaching advanced tactics, adaptive shield technology, and fleet coordination principles. Alien civilizations, once cautious and rigid, began to adopt human methods, balancing strength with intelligence, force with wisdom, and power with morality. Kara often reflected on the transformation she observed. "It's not just the technology," she told Chen during one quiet observation shift. "It's the way humans think. Our decisions, our principles, our courage, that is what the galaxy respects. Technology alone can be copied. Strategy, discipline, and morality cannot." Chen nodded. "They're starting to understand that. I've never seen them move like this before. Efficient, confident, adaptable, they're learning the human way." Kara's eyes scanned the stars beyond the observation deck, and they will never forget it. Humanity's legacy is not built on conquest, it's built on courage, intelligence, and protection. That is why the galaxy will remember us. Months turned into years. Humanity continued exploring distant sectors, offering aid, resolving conflicts, and demonstrating the principles that had first astonished the aliens of the Viridian expanse. The Titan-class warships became symbols not of fear, but of human ingenuity, discipline, and moral strength. Kara watched as alien ships, once hesitant and fearful, now moved in synchronized formations, executing complex maneuvers inspired by human tactics. Young human officers trained alongside alien crews, teaching adaptive thinking, problem-solving, and coordination. Everywhere, humanity's influence reshaped the galaxy, not through aggression, but through example and action. In private, Kara reflected on the first encounter with the aliens. She remembered their initial fear, their hesitation, and the awe that followed the rogue warship incident. Humanity had demonstrated something far greater than raw power. They had shown the galaxy the meaning of intelligence, restraint, courage, and honor. One day, the alien leader returned, now fully comfortable among humans. "Admiral, humans, your people, you have changed everything. We see the galaxy differently now. Not only power, not only strategy, but it's your spirit, your discipline, your morality on humans." "Extraordinary," Kara smiled faintly. "We do not claim to be perfect, but we do strive to do what is right. We fight, we protect, we teach, and we survive. That is humanity's way. That is our legacy." Across the stars, word of humanity spread like wildfire. Reports of Titan-class warships, disciplined fleets, brilliant strategy, and moral courage reached civilizations that had never encountered humans. Some were fearful, some were curious, but all were compelled to reassess what a single species could achieve. The galaxy had been quiet for centuries, and now it would never be the same. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors, but as innovators, teachers, and guardians. They had demonstrated that strength alone was meaningless without wisdom, and that technology alone was powerless without morality. Kara Voss stood on the observation deck of the Aegis Dominus, looking out at a galaxy slowly changing because of humans. Ships moved in formation, systems coordinated, and alliances formed. Humanity's influence was subtle, intelligent, and undeniable. Chen approached quietly. "Admiral, do you think the galaxy will ever be ready for all of humanity's potential?" Kara's eyes glimmered with quiet determination. "It doesn't need to be ready. Humanity leads not by force, but by example. One day the galaxy will understand what it truly means to have humans among the stars. And when it does, it will be forever changed." The stars stretched endlessly before them, each one a new frontier, each one a challenge waiting to be met. Humanity would continue to explore, protect, and inspire. Titan-class warships would patrol distant sectors. Human fleets would teach alien civilizations the principles of courage and wisdom. And humanity's legacy would grow, not through fear, but through honor, intelligence, and the courage to do what is right. And the galaxy, once silent and indifferent, now stood speechless in awe of humanity, realizing for the first time that humans were not merely another species. They were a standard by which all others would be measured. Admiral Kara Voss looked at the stars, confident, determined, and unshaken. Humanity had arrived. Humanity had proven itself, and the galaxy would never forget it. The Aegis Dominus glided silently through space, a symbol of human ingenuity, strength, and morality. Humanity had claimed its place in the cosmos, not through conquest, but through example, courage, and the power of the human spirit. Humanity's first contact with the Valorians had set off ripples across the galaxy. What humans saw as friendly greetings and displays of capability, other species interpreted in entirely different ways. News traveled quickly, faster than humans could track, and soon whispers of the unpredictable humans reached multiple star systems. On Earth, the Aurora had returned to orbit around its own planet after the mission to Valoria 9. Captain Elena Vargas and her crew were lauded as heroes. Humanity celebrated the first interstellar diplomatic success. No one had warned them that fear of humans was spreading faster than any public relations campaign could control. 2 months after first contact, humanity launched a second mission, an exploratory fleet tasked with mapping nearby star systems and establishing scientific outposts. Among the crew of this new fleet were biologists, geologists, engineers, and a small military detachment. Their purpose was clear: exploration and study. Humans rarely understood why anyone would fear them. To them, they were simply curious, willing to learn, and eager to help. The fleet's first stop was the planet Lyrathis, a lush, heavily forested world inhabited by the Taurians, a species of intelligent quadrupedal beings. The Taurians had a strict environmental code. Even a single misstep in a forest could be considered a grave offense. Human scientists, unaware of the Taurians' customs, landed their shuttles near a dense forest to collect soil and plant samples. They deployed drones to map the area. The drones moved with efficiency, cutting through underbrush and analyzing ecosystems at incredible speed. To the Taurians, it was horrifying. Trees were uprooted, plants flattened, and small creatures scattered. What humans saw as a careful survey, the Taurians saw as destruction. By the time Captain Vargas received the Taurian delegation's message, the forest was already in chaos. "You have destroyed part of our sacred woods," the Taurian envoy demanded, their voice low and trembling. "Your presence is dangerous." Ravi Patel, one of the human engineers, scratched his head. "We just took samples." "It's not dangerous," Elena sighed. "To them it is. We need to calm this down before things get worse." The humans attempted diplomacy, sending messages of apology and explanation. They offered to help restore the damaged ecosystem using terraforming nanobots and their advanced engineering. The Taurians hesitated, eventually accepting help, but rumors of the incident had already spread. Other nearby species heard that humans could destroy forests, uproot life, and alter planets without understanding the consequences. Meanwhile, another human team visited a mining planet in the neighboring system. The inhabitants, a crustacean-like species called the Zrath, had been extracting rare minerals for centuries. Humans, equipped with automated drills and resource analysis equipment, quickly located deposits and began collecting samples. The Zrath watched in disbelief. "These humans," one Zrath elder whispered to another, "mine faster than 100 of our workers. They're machines. They do not stop. They could drain a planet in a day if they wanted." The humans, again unaware, were simply conducting research. They did not intend to harm. Yet their speed and efficiency seemed unnatural. By the time they left the planet, the Zrath had already sent warnings to neighboring systems. The humans arrive. They do not understand the limits of life. Beware. Back on the Aurora, Elena reviewed the reports. "We're starting to create a reputation without even trying," she said, rubbing her temples. "I thought first contact with Valoria 9 was the only issue." Ravi frowned. "It's not our fault. We're just doing our jobs." "I know," Elena said, her tone softening, "but that's exactly the problem. Every time we do something normal, someone somewhere interprets it as extraordinary and dangerous." This pattern continued across several star systems. On the desert planet of Erythos, humans accidentally saved a city from a natural disaster. A massive sandstorm had trapped thousands in their homes, and humans, seeing the danger, deployed emergency drones that lifted entire buildings and transported citizens to safety. The Erythos inhabitants were grateful but terrified. "These humans," they said afterward, "can move entire cities in minutes." What else can they do? It was not just efficiency that caused fear. Humans were unpredictable. In a small skirmish between two alien factions near the star Arendor, humans intervened to prevent casualties. Their tactics were brilliant but unconventional. blending strategy, technology, and improvisation. To other species observing from a distance, it looked like humans had defeated one faction with ease and mercy, an impossible combination. By now, the stories were spreading across interstellar networks. Humans, known for their curiosity and adaptability, were becoming the stuff of legend. They were described as fearless, unstoppable, and unpredictable. Aliens speculated that humans could survive on any planet, fight any enemy, and manipulate technology beyond comprehension. Ironically, humanity remained largely unaware. On the Aurora, the crew continued with their research missions. They mapped planets, studied alien ecosystems, and even attempted to help civilizations improve infrastructure. Every gesture of goodwill was amplified into legend. One day, a Valorian observer communicated with the Aurora. "Captain Vargas," the voice said, calm but firm, "your species has spread quickly in reputation. It is feared." Elena laughed lightly. "Feared? We're not trying to be threatening, we just do what we do." The Valorian voice was patient. "That is the problem. Your actions are extraordinary. Every species interprets them differently. You may wish to take caution." Elena frowned. "We'll keep that in mind." But deep down she knew it was impossible. Humans were human. They explored, adapted, and acted. That was their nature. They could not pretend to be slow, careful, or predictable. In the weeks that followed, misunderstandings continued. On one planet, humans helped a small alien colony rebuild after an earthquake. Their advanced construction technology made the colony look as if it had been built overnight. The aliens were impressed, but whispered fears spread to neighboring planets. The humans build faster than nature itself. In another system, humans discovered a rare plant with medicinal properties. They experimented and created a cure for a deadly disease that had plagued multiple alien species. Again, what humans saw as helpful, others saw as terrifying. They can heal or harm at will. No one knows their limits. Even within their own fleet, humans began to notice the growing tension in alien interactions. Captain Elena called a meeting with her senior officers. "We need to understand this," she said. "We're not villains. We're explorers. Yet everywhere we go, species react differently. Sometimes with fear, sometimes with awe. How do we fix that?" Lieutenant Malik shook his head. "We can't. We are humans. Our nature is not normal for the galaxy. Every time we do something ordinary, someone somewhere sees it as extraordinary." Ravi Patel grinned. "Then maybe we're special," Elena smiled faintly. "Special, yes. But special in a way the galaxy doesn't understand yet. That's a problem." As the humans continued their missions, they remained largely unaware of the scale of their reputation. To them, it was all routine work, exploring, helping, studying, surviving. But across the stars, whispers grew into stories. Stories became rumors. Rumors became legends. Humans were no longer just a species. They were an enigma. By the end of Part 2, humanity had unintentionally become the talk of multiple star systems. Species began preparing defenses, sharing warnings, and debating. Are the humans a threat or something beyond comprehension? And all the while, humans continued being themselves, brave, curious, inventive, and unstoppable in their own simple way. Every mistake, every display of efficiency, and every act of compassion only added to their legend. The galaxy was beginning to understand something crucial. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and resourceful. Traits that had allowed them to survive on a single planet full of dangers now made them potentially unstoppable across the stars. The galaxy was beginning to speak of humans in hushed tones. Whispers of their boldness, ingenuity, and unpredictability had spread like wildfire, though the humans themselves remained largely unaware. Captain Elena Vargas of the Aurora and her fleet continued their mission of exploration and assistance, believing that they were merely solving problems and studying new worlds. To everyone else, humanity was something entirely different, a species that could appear in any system, adapt instantly, and alter the fate of entire civilizations. The Aurora was now traveling toward the Sildren cluster, a system known for its delicate political balance. Two alien factions, the Krath and the Bellari, had long been in tension over a resource-rich planet called Neravia. Skirmishes were frequent, though mostly limited to minor space conflicts. Humans were invited, not as mediators but to study the system and its inhabitants. The mission, as always, was intended to be peaceful. Upon arriving in orbit around Nerevia, Captain Vargas received a transmission from a Bellari representative. "Captain Vargas," the Bellari voice said, calm but urgent. "We require assistance. The Krath are attempting to blockade our mining operations. Casualties have already occurred. If your fleet can help, it will be appreciated." Elena glanced at her officers. "Assistance does not mean taking sides," she reminded them. "We intervene only to prevent loss of life. That is our rule." Lieutenant Malik frowned. "Do you think they understand that? They already fear humans. Any action we take could make them panic." "We have no choice," Elena said. "We cannot ignore people in danger." The humans prepared their ships for deployment. Drones, energy shields, and fast attack craft were ready. They approached the contested zone cautiously, scanning for both Krath and Bellari ships. But humans never acted slowly. Their presence alone changed the dynamics. The Krath noticed the sudden arrival of a technologically advanced fleet. The humans' ships moved with precision, drones repairing minor hull damages instantly, weapon systems calibrated to deter aggression without lethal intent. To the Krath, it looked like an overwhelming display of power. The humans quickly assessed the conflict. They identified the Krath ships responsible for aggressive attacks on the Bellari transports and strategically positioned themselves to block further damage. They did not fire. They did not attack. They simply maneuvered intelligently, using shields and drones to protect the Bellari vessels. Observers from other nearby systems were watching. Through their communication networks, alien species monitored what they thought was a battle. They did not see humans preventing deaths. They saw humans controlling the battlefield, neutralizing attackers with minimal effort, and acting with perfect coordination. "Look at them," whispered a Krath officer to their commander. "They are everywhere at once. They could destroy our fleet without even touching us." "Impossible," the commander muttered. "No species can move, calculate, and adapt this fast. They are beyond us." Humans, oblivious to the growing panic, continued their work. They evacuated damaged Bellari ships, repaired hulls, and even negotiated minor ceasefires, using holographic translations to communicate calmly with both sides. Their actions were precise, efficient, and humane. Yet the Krath and Bellari alike interpreted this as deliberate dominance, a species capable of effortlessly controlling conflicts. On the Aurora, Ravi Patel was busy with the fleet's tactical systems. "Captain, the Krath are sending reinforcements," he said. Elena looked at the sensors. "Good, more observation. We'll prevent casualties and nothing more." The humans moved swiftly. Drones formed protective barriers around civilian transports. Shielded transport craft carried injured aliens to safety. Automated systems disabled weapons temporarily, not permanently, ensuring no one was harmed. To humans, it was routine problem-solving. To alien observers, it looked like humans had disarmed a military force with sheer intelligence and speed. By the end of the intervention, the battlefield was calm. No casualties, no destruction. Bellari and Krath alike were left shaken, unsure whether to thank humans or fear them. "This is not normal," a Bellari diplomat whispered later. "They did what we could not do in decades. And they did it without aggression. What are they capable of if they wanted to fight?" Captain Vargas, unaware of the rumors spreading faster than light, convened a debriefing with her officers. "That went well," she said, smiling. "No lives lost. Conflict minimized." "True," Malik replied, "but the galaxy is watching us now. Every move we make will be interpreted differently." Elena nodded. "I know, and we can't change that. We act as humans. That's all we can do." Meanwhile, across multiple star systems, observers shared footage of the incident. In some systems, it became legend immediately. Humans arrived and ended a battle before it even began. They are unstoppable. They are unpredictable. They are dangerous. The humans moved on, unaware that their reputation had just grown exponentially. They continued to explore nearby planets, help struggling civilizations, and study alien species. Every intervention, however small, became exaggerated tales in distant corners of the galaxy. During a stop on a desert planet, humans helped a species of amphibious beings. The Trivians survive a rare meteor storm. They built protective shelters and transported civilians to safety using modular transport drones. On another planet, humans stabilized a failing ecosystem, reintroducing endangered species and balancing natural resources. In every case, humans acted with efficiency and compassion. To themselves, it was normal. To alien observers, humans were miraculous, terrifying, and unstoppable. One evening, as Captain Vargas looked at the holographic map of their current star system, she sighed. "We're making a difference," she said. "But everywhere we go, fear seems to follow." Ravi tilted his head. "Maybe that's the point. We are different. The galaxy isn't used to humans." "Yes," Elena said softly, "and maybe that difference is exactly what they fear." Back on Neravia, both the Krath and Bellari held emergency meetings. "We cannot ignore humans," a Krath commander said. "They act with perfect coordination and speed. Their morality is unknown. They could wipe out fleets and yet they spare lives. This is unnatural." "Agreed," said a Bellari representative. "We must prepare for any possibility. The humans are not like any species we know." The humans, meanwhile, had no idea they were being watched so closely. They continued to travel from system to system, helping civilizations, exploring new planets, and solving problems in ways only humans could. Every act of compassion, every clever solution only added to their legend. By the time the fleet left the Sildren cluster, it was clear that humanity's presence was no longer just a curiosity. They had become a symbol, clever, unpredictable, and incredibly capable. Other species whispered rumors. The humans do not fight for conquest. They fight to survive and to help. But what if they chose to fight for themselves? Elena, standing on the bridge of the Aurora, looked at the distant stars. "I hope we're making the galaxy safer," she said quietly. "I hope our actions help." Little did she know that in doing so, humans had become something far greater. Something feared and respected, something beyond prediction. The legend of humanity was growing not because they wanted power, but because their very nature, courageous, clever, and unafraid, was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And somewhere, far beyond the systems they knew, aliens were already preparing, not for war, at least not yet, but for the arrival of a species that might change everything. Humans, as always, remained unaware. They simply moved forward, curious, helpful, and boldly human in every action they took. By now, humanity's presence in the galaxy was no longer a quiet curiosity. Across multiple star systems, rumors of the humans, bold, clever, and unpredictable, were growing into full-fledged legends. What the humans themselves saw as exploration, assistance, and learning was increasingly interpreted as extraordinary, even terrifying. Yet the humans remained blissfully unaware. They continued to travel from world to world, helping civilizations and solving problems the galaxy had struggled with for centuries. The next mission of the Aurora fleet took them to the outer rim of the Vera cluster, a region of space filled with small, resource-rich planets and dozens of intelligent species. Humans had been invited to assist in a humanitarian crisis. A series of natural disasters had left multiple planets struggling to survive. Hurricanes, earthquakes, and toxic storms had crippled infrastructure, leaving entire populations at risk. Elena Vargas looked at the holographic display of the cluster, noting the worst-hit areas. "We have a lot of work to do," she said. "Prepare the ships and drones. We move quickly but carefully. We must help where we can." Lieutenant Malik frowned. "Carefully?" "Yes, but the galaxy will notice our speed and efficiency. They already fear us. This might make it worse." Elena smiled faintly. "We do what we do. That's all we can control." On the first planet, the humans arrived in orbit above a sprawling desert city. The inhabitants, a species of insectoid beings called the Xylar, had no functioning infrastructure left. Their buildings had collapsed in sandstorms, and their water supply was contaminated. Ravi Patel and the engineering team deployed modular drones that could carry water, repair damaged buildings, and purify air and soil. Within hours, large portions of the city were operational again. The Xylar stared in disbelief. These humans, one elder whispered to another, moved faster than the storms themselves. They have power. The humans did not see it as power, they saw it as problem-solving. They continued their work, stabilizing the water supply, rebuilding homes, and treating the injured with advanced medical equipment. By the time they left orbit, the Xylar were calling them miracles, even though the humans had only done what they knew was possible. Meanwhile, stories of their deeds were being transmitted across interstellar communication networks. Nearby species who had no direct contact with humans began to react. Some prepared to ally with humanity for protection. Others began to fortify their defenses, wary of what a species capable of such rapid reconstruction could do if provoked. The humans moved to another planet. This one a lush jungle world inhabited by amphibious beings called the Meridians. Their cities had been flooded due to unstable climate patterns, leaving thousands at risk. Humans deployed floating shelters, temporary bridges, and drones to rescue stranded Meridians. Are they gods? A young Meridian asked, watching the humans' activity from a safe distance. No, an elder replied cautiously, but they are unlike anything we have ever seen. They act without hesitation. They adapt instantly, and they care. The humans themselves were oblivious to these perceptions. To them it was routine. Assess, act, save lives. Compassion was second nature. Speed and efficiency were tools, not weapons, but the galaxy was taking notice. Aliens from distant systems recorded every intervention, analyzing the humans' technology, tactics, and decision-making. In the far reaches of the Vera cluster, a coalition of species convened a secret council. Holothar, a species known for their cautious diplomacy, addressed the assembly. We cannot underestimate the humans. They do not fight like any species we know. They are unpredictable. Their technology adapts instantly. Their actions save lives. But what if they choose differently? We must prepare. Meanwhile, Elena and her crew had moved on to a mining colony struggling under failing energy systems. The inhabitants, a quadrupedal species called the Therans, had no working power and were facing starvation. Humans quickly set up portable energy grids, automated food dispensers, and even temporary shelters. Your species is extraordinary, the Theran governor said, bowing in gratitude. You save lives faster than we can imagine. How can you do so much? Elena smiled gently. We try to help wherever we can. That's all. The humans' modesty did little to stop the legend from growing. Across the galaxy, stories merged and evolved. Some said humans could terraform planets overnight. Others claimed humans could defeat entire armies with a single ship. Some whispered that humans never slept, never tired, and never feared death. Back on the Aurora, Ravi Patel reviewed communications. Captain, I'm reading reports from systems we haven't even visited. Species are sharing stories about us, and exaggerating everything. Elena shook her head. That's what happens when the galaxy doesn't understand you. Every action becomes a legend. Every problem we solve becomes a tale of unmatched power. Malik added, we should be careful. The more people fear us, the more likely someone might try to test us, or attack us first. Elena nodded thoughtfully. We can't control perceptions. We can only act as humans. And as humans, we help. The humans continued their mission, moving from system to system. On one icy planet, they stabilized a collapsing glacier that threatened a settlement of intelligent wolf-like beings called the Lyrians. Using thermal drones and precision tools, they redirected the glacier's path, saving the settlement. The Lyrians were awestruck. They bend nature itself, they whispered. On another planet, they rescued a colony of small, rodent-like beings called the Silians from a volcanic eruption. Humans built emergency shelters, deployed protective shields, and used drones to transport citizens to safe zones. The Silians later described the humans as beings who could control fire and earth yet chose kindness. Every mission, every intervention, every act of care added to the growing myth of humanity. To humans, it was simply doing the right thing. To the galaxy, it was proof that humans were extraordinary, unpredictable, and potentially unstoppable. One evening, while the fleet rested in orbit around a neutral star, Elena reflected on their journey. We've helped many civilizations, she said quietly. Yet everywhere we go, the reactions are strange. Some species fear us, others admire us, and some do both, Ravi smiled. Maybe that's the point. We are humans. We act differently. We solve problems quickly. We adapt, we survive. And the galaxy isn't used to that. Yes, Elena said softly. We are different. And that difference is becoming legendary. In distant systems, alien historians debated humanity's intentions. Some believed humans were benevolent but incredibly dangerous. Others speculated that humans were testing the galaxy, learning its weaknesses before striking. The truth that humans acted out of curiosity, compassion, and necessity was irrelevant to those who feared them. Even the Valorians, who had first encountered humans, now admitted privately that humanity's influence was spreading too fast to ignore. They do not seek war, a Valorian scholar said, yet their very presence changes everything. We must observe and prepare. As the humans continued their missions, the galaxy slowly began to understand one undeniable fact. Humans were unlike any other species. They were resourceful, fearless, ingenious, and capable of surviving and thriving in situations no other civilization could. They were not merely explorers, they were catalysts, altering the course of events simply by being present. And with every act of help, every demonstration of adaptability, and every clever solution, humanity's legend grew. They were becoming something more than a species. They were becoming a symbol, unpredictable, powerful, and impossible to fully understand. On the Aurora, Elena looked at the stars, smiling faintly. "I hope we're making a difference," she said. "I hope the galaxy is learning that humans act with care, not fear. But I can't help feeling that we are changing how the galaxy thinks. Indeed, humans were changing the galaxy. Not through force, not through conquest, but through boldness, intelligence, and empathy. And that change, though unintended, was spreading faster than any technology or communication network. Somewhere in the quiet corners of space, alien species were beginning to prepare for humanity. Not because humans had declared war, but because they could not ignore a species that could survive anywhere, think faster than anyone expected, and act in ways no one could predict. The legend of humanity had reached a point of no return. And yet humans themselves remained unaware. To them, it was all routine exploration, study, and aid. They were simply being human. The galaxy had changed. What began as human exploration and peaceful assistance had transformed into something far greater. Legends of humanity spread faster than any starship, whispered across systems, shared between alien species, and debated in the councils of empires. Humans were no longer just a new species in the stars, they were a symbol. Clever, unpredictable, unstoppable, and above all, feared. Captain Elena Vargas of the Aurora had long since stopped worrying about reputation. She still focused on helping civilizations, studying new worlds, and keeping her fleet safe. But she was beginning to notice that other species treated humans differently. Some approached with hope and relief. Others kept their distance, wary and cautious. And a few watched silently, preparing for a possibility they could not fully comprehend. The latest mission brought humans to the Trieran sector, a system of 3 planets in political tension. The region was known for its fragile alliances, frequent skirmishes, and fragile economies. A dispute over water rights had escalated between 2 species, the aquatic Meridians and the desert-dwelling Therans. Normally, such disputes dragged on for years, but the humans had been called, not to enforce peace, but simply to observe. Upon arrival, Elena called a council meeting with her senior officers. "We're not here to take sides," she said firmly. "We are observers and, if possible, problem solvers. We help where we can, and we prevent harm. Nothing more." Lieutenant Malik frowned. "We should be careful. Even small actions could be exaggerated. The galaxy already fears us. One misstep could escalate everything." Ravi Patel chuckled. "Captain, we're humans. Acting cautiously isn't really our style. We solve problems. That's what we do." Elena smiled faintly. "Then let's just hope the galaxy can understand that." The conflict began subtly. Water shipments had been blocked, crops were failing, and tensions between the Meridians and Tharans were growing. Humans assessed the situation and decided to act quickly. They deployed automated water purification systems to replenish the desert reservoirs and repaired damaged canals connecting the planets. Drones transported food and medical supplies to remote settlements, stabilizing communities that had been on the brink of crisis. From afar, alien observers watched in awe and fear. Humans had not fought, yet they had solved a political, environmental, and logistical crisis in days. Rumors spread instantly. The humans control resources. They solve problems faster than any species could. They are unstoppable. The Meridians and Therans were grateful. "You are extraordinary," one leader said. "We owe you more than we can express." Elena shook her head. "We don't want thanks. We're simply helping." Yet the galaxy did not see it that way. Every intervention, every problem solved was amplified into legend. Nearby species speculated, If humans can control resources, solve disputes, and protect populations without war, what could they do if they wanted power? Meanwhile, reports from distant systems reached Earth. Scientists, politicians, and ordinary citizens were astounded. Humans were now seen not just as explorers, but as a species unlike any other. A species capable of reshaping entire star systems simply by existing. In orbit above the Triaran sector, Elena received a discreet transmission from the Valorians, who had observed humans since the first contact. "Captain Vargas," the Valorian voice said, calm but serious, "your actions are unprecedented. Across the galaxy, your species is now considered the most formidable, not through aggression, but through ingenuity, courage, and compassion. Some fear you. Others seek your alliance. Few can ignore you." Elena paused. "Formidable? We're just trying to help." "That is precisely why you are formidable," the Valorian replied. "You act unpredictably. You solve crises. You survive in ways no other species can, and yet you do not seek conquest. That combination is terrifying to the galaxy." Elena exhaled softly. "I see." In the following weeks, humans moved to the outer rim of the Triaran sector, where a small moon was suffering from a volcanic eruption. Civilians were trapped in settlements near the lava flows. Humans deployed transport drones and temporary shelters, diverting the lava using controlled energy shields and cooling systems. Within hours, the moon's population was safe. From afar, alien observers could hardly believe what they were seeing. "They bend nature itself," one historian said. "And they do it with no casualties, no destruction. How can a species act with such power and restraint?" The humans themselves were unaware of the growing panic. They continued their work, solving problems the galaxy had deemed impossible. On a remote jungle planet, they stabilized an ecosystem collapsing due to invasive species. On a frozen planet, they prevented a massive avalanche that would have wiped out a settlement of intelligent beings. Each act, simple to the humans, became a story, exaggerated and shared, spreading humanity's reputation further. By the time the humans returned to the Triaran Sector Council to observe the final resolution of the water dispute, representatives from multiple systems had already arrived. Some sought advice, others observed quietly, and a few, especially species with militaristic tendencies, kept defensive positions. "Why are all these species here?" Ravi asked, scanning the council chamber. "They've heard of us," Elena said quietly. "They want to see humanity in action, or test us. Maybe both." The council session began. Humans facilitated communication, translated disputes, and suggested equitable solutions. No threats were made, no force was used, yet the resolution was swift and fair. The Meridians and Therans signed an agreement that guaranteed shared water rights, equitable trade, and mutual safety measures. As the session ended, the aliens present were stunned. "They did not fight," one elder whispered. "They did not demand, and yet they reshaped the outcome. How can a species have such influence without aggression?" Elena looked at her officers. "It's simple," she said softly. "We act as humans, we help, we solve problems. That's all we do." But to the galaxy, this was a revelation. Humans were no longer just a species, they were an enigma. They had become a force whose power was measured not in weapons, but in creativity, adaptability, and compassion. Legends grew. Humans can solve any problem. Humans survive anywhere. Humans cannot be predicted. Humans are unstoppable. And while the humans themselves laughed at some of the exaggerated rumors, stories of single humans lifting mountains or controlling storms, they could not stop the galaxy from believing them. Back on Earth, scientists debated the reports. "It's amazing," one said. "They act like ordinary humans, yet their reputation is extraordinary. The galaxy is terrified." "But respectful." "Terrified?" a politician asked. "They're just explorers." "No," said a historian. "They are the most dangerous species the galaxy has ever encountered. Not because of war, but because of their unpredictability, resourcefulness, and bravery. Every action they take, every decision they make could reshape worlds. And that is terrifying." Meanwhile, the Valorians continued their silent observation. "The humans are not conquerors," one scholar said, "but their existence forces other species to rethink strategy, diplomacy, and survival. They are the most dreaded species in the galaxy." The humans themselves remained blissfully unaware. Captain Elena Vargas stood on the bridge of the Aurora, staring at distant stars. "We've helped many civilizations," she said quietly. "I hope our actions are making the galaxy safer," Ravi Patel chuckled. "And unknowingly, we're terrifying the galaxy at the same time." Elena smiled faintly. Sometimes just being human is enough to change everything. Indeed, that was the truth. Humanity's courage, ingenuity, adaptability, and compassion had reshaped the galaxy's perception of life itself. A species that explored, helped, and survived against all odds had become both legend and warning. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were unstoppable. Humans could survive anywhere, solve any problem, and adapt to any situation. And above all, humans acted without fear. Not for domination, but simply because it was their nature. Legends of humanity spread further, inspiring some, frightening others, and leaving every species aware that the humans were a force unlike any other. They were not tyrants. They were not conquerors. They were humans, and that, it seemed, was more than enough. By the time the Aurora and its fleet returned to Earth, humans had already secured their place in galactic history, not through war, but through bravery, creativity, and compassion. They were celebrated by some, feared by others, and revered by all. The galaxy would never see another species like them, and humanity, as always, remained blissfully unaware. They simply continued to explore, to help and to survive, boldly human in every step they took.